Hello and welcome to the Nerd in Motion. I'm back. Yes, I took a bit of a break off social media. I'm just tired. I needed to just chill out and just not do videos and have some chill. But I'm back. And I'm back to talk about EVs. Yes, I know I can literally feel you with the little remote just about to just flick me into the oblivion because you're an evangelist. But just hear me out here. I've kind of flim-flammed about it. I've even recently looked at buying an EV, and I'll tell you why. I live in an area and I drive to work just down the road. It takes me 15 minutes in the morning, and it's fine. My Merc does the job. My wife, she drives around to her work and she goes all over and she does all the kids clubs on the way back from school and all that kind of stuff. And actually we could charge an EV overnight. It'd be really cheap, and for all the town driving that she does, an EV would make a lot of sense. And so I was kind of having a look. Tesla have got some very good deals on at the moment, ironically. But that kind of got me all thinking. So I'm not a massive EV hater. I'm not, but I had some questions around it. Cost of running, the fire risk, the depreciation, all those kind of things, and also just really the big problem for me was the smugness that surrounded electric vehicles. I found that people who had them tend to be like really snooty about it in the same way as maybe a young person driving a Bentley or a Porsche, and I just didn't want to be part of that. But now it's kind of gone a bit weird, and I wanted to talk about it because it doesn't really make any sense. Those very people that were telling us to drive electric vehicles and kind of making the politics into cars, which didn't really need to happen but did anyway, and now telling us all, no, you can buy EVs, but just not Elon Musk's EVs. And it's it's just silly. You see all this vandalism in America, vandalizing Teslas, people's cars, and quite a lot of them they're vandalizing Democrats' cars. So they're left wing people driving, having their car vandalized by left wing people who don't like Elon Musk. And I think people don't realise that if you're in a finance deal, you can't just drop it and get out that easily without spending a load of money. And so destruction of property seems to be the route, and they're kind of trying to justify all that. And it all got really, it's just really cringe. I think that's the best way of putting it. And it really stinks of eating your own, which I don't like that either. I'll tell you a bit about what's gone on in the UK with EVs. Basically, our left-wing socialist Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who's in now, I thought he would be super pro-EV, but clearly he's not. And they've put up all the tax on EV cars, and if you have a luxury EV, it's even more. So that's kind of the incentives to buy an electric vehicle aren't as good as they were. I don't understand the rhetoric other than that there's more electric cars, so there's a hole in the tax. They want the money, and that's as far as I can put it. But I thought, well, this silliness in America. I mean, it's America, isn't it? It's not going to come here, which is the famous last words. And what I've discovered is, and that's not true. And I just accidentally turned the mic off. That's not true because look at this, people. Wow, that's loud. I'm sorry if that's really loud. This is in London. This is in London, so I'm looking at this camera. This is in London, and this is a guy or a girl or a him or a he or whatever they want to be that has taken to putting billboards up. This is another one in London, and vandalising and doing all kinds of things around London, which is quite surprising. Now, I don't know if these are CGI, but they could be real. And I just think it's really petty. I just think it's a bit pathetic, and it makes me dislike the cause, because like this salute thing is doing my head in as well. I just think, hang on a minute. He hit his chest. Like, my heart goes out to you. That's what it looked like to me when I saw it the first time before it all kicked off. That's what I saw, but apparently not. But I did also think when he did it, I thought, nah, that was probably not a wise mood. Now, I don't know Elon Musk and what his priorities are and what he thinks, but he's a very clever guy. He's done very well. He's revolutionised transport in the world. Probably the most important car for the last 100 years that's ever been built is a Tesla. And it's out of trying to be better for the environment to give people something better than they've already got. And like, everybody is getting all excited about it, and the left loved him, and now all of a sudden he's the worst person in the world because he's cut some of the funding, a lot of the funding. And that's also a mistruth that when I did some research on this, the funding that they've gone after isn't like, when I listened to Radio 4 on the way home from work. I listened to the media show and some other shows that are on there, and they were saying that like the equivalent of benefits were being cut to people that really needed it because they'd stopped all the welfare. But that's not true. That's complete myth. None of that has been stopped. Where in our country, people who are disabled and, you know, low earners are now having to reapply, and basically they're trying to get disabled people out to work because, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Whether they just want them earning money, I guess. So it's all very crazy. It's all topsy turvy. I've completely lost the plot. I always thought I was quite in the middle, but I feel like the left is making me. The left that I knew, the Labour that I grew up with, is not the Labour it is today. The left that I grew up with was all about the working people. And now I don't feel like it's anywhere near that. So I've completely flim-flammed. And I'm not impressed with the way Trump behaved with Ukraine. At all. At all. I just thought that was embarrassing. And, well, those who have watched the channel know what I think of Ukraine and that situation. Right, I want to show you something, because this is also the craziness goes mad. Let me put this up. So this is in London, by the way. This overthrow, whatever it's called, overthrow Elon. Right, listen to this. This is a classic. Let me just get rid of that display. Is it that one? No, it's that one. That one there. Go. That's it. Magic. Right, so this is after the salute thing. And this is another piece that makes me, I don't know, it's just, you know when someone's lying to you, and you know they're lying, but you can't really tell, you're like, you can't pinpoint what they're saying, but you're like, I don't think you're telling me the truth. Well, let's have a look at this. France 24 is a news channel that is predominantly funded by the French left-wing part of the government. So, let's see. This is called Truth or Fake. It's very loud.
Vedeka is here in studio. Vedeka, a host of Democratic politicians are being falsely accused online of doing Nazi salutes, and it comes just a week after Elon Musk was widely criticised for the controversial gesture at Donald Trump's inauguration. Tell us more about the spread of this piece of misinformation.
The spread of this misinformation. Let's just remind ourselves of what she just said. spread of this misinformation.
That's right. Social media users are falsely accusing several Democratic politicians of that same controversial arm gesture made by Elon Musk at Donald Trump's inaugural parade. Now, we've all by now seen that particular video of the tech billionaire at the parade, but for anyone who hasn't, this is...
Can I just say, I know that they've got a bit of lag in this video, but it does look like the salute that he did, the gesture, not the salute. I'm falling into their trap now. It looks like they've sped it up.
What it looks like. And this did garner mixed reactions, as we discussed here last week. Some say that the gesture speaks for itself as a Nazi salute. Others have defended Elon Musk and said that it is just awkward behaviour by a man who has autism. Others say that he's trying to...
And let's remind ourselves that he had to be moved schools because he was spending all his time thinking about all sorts of random stuff. So,
give his heart out to the crowd, but that reaction is very split. But this photo montage that we're seeing here of 4 Democratic politicians, we've got Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and Hillary Clinton. Well, this has been shared over 157 million times on X, the platform owned by Elon Musk. I've also seen this montage circulating elsewhere. I've seen it on Reddit, I've seen it on TikTok, I've seen these photos individually.
Libs of TikTok is also on Instagram as well, which is where I saw this post.
Circulate as well. But the insinuation here very much is that there's double standards at play between the way these Democratic politicians are treated for allegedly doing this compared to what the criticism that Musk suffered. And in fact, Elon himself has responded to that. He shared that same sentiment. He racked up another 152 million views when he shared that same montage. And he said the legacy media is pure propaganda. You are the media now. Now, what I can tell you here, Sharon, is that these 4 images of these 4...
Yes, I am the media now.
...politicians, they have been entirely stripped of their content.
Oh, my word. They have been entirely stripped of their content, context. And entirely stripped. Let's just go to camera. Where is it? Entirely stripped of context. Tell us more.
We cannot verify or pinpoint what Musk's intent.
Oh, Musk's intentions. You know that bit, the heart, my heart to you. Now, if he'd pointed, I think he would have been better off. To say.
Intentions were with that gesture, but we can say that it was a deliberate act that he did. He did it twice back to back in the video.
Twice?
Actually show each of these politicians use their hands whilst they're speaking as part of a greater speech. It is a snapshot in time. And Sharon, when they're being shared out of context like that, it is very harmful, therefore, that they're being compared to and used in the context of a Nazi salute.
I agree 100%. 100% with your comment. That comment is the truest comment in the whole video.
So if those photos then, Vedika, are out of context, how did you manage to verify them and their origin?
Well, Sharon, it was pretty straightforward. I used reverse image search in order to check their context. So if we start with Barack Obama, I was able to find the original photo of him lifting his arm like this on Getty Images. It is dated from 2010, the 29th of January 2010. It was taken by an AFP photographer called Saul Loeb. And from there, if you look at where then President Obama...
I actually quite liked Obama. I thought he was pretty good. He did a lot of good things, did Obama. And actually, there's this myth that he was all soft and fluffy. He was not soft and fluffy at all. He struck more people on the other side of the world than anybody else. He was badass. I've got a lot of respect for the man. I genuinely thought he did a good job. But I'm not American, so I didn't live there. I can't say. If you liked Obama and you're from America, please tell me in the comment whether you did or you didn't like him.
Was on that date. He was in fact he was answering questions at the GOP House Issues Conference. And he raises his arm to the crowd twice, maybe 3 times.
Twice or 3 times? He raised his... What? Oh my word, we need to ship him off to Guantanamo Bay right away.
In this hour and a half long speech, I took the liberty of cutting one of those instances for us.
I don't know if you can hear that helicopter, but it's low.
We can score political points on the basis of the fact that we underestimated how severe the job losses were going to be.
So we can see him raise his arm there. Apologies, that video was a little laggier than I had hoped for.
Very laggy.
It was absolutely not a salute in any capacity, which was part of his speech.
That wasn't the photo, though.
Elizabeth Warren
Anyway.
was the second example. Well, she was I traced this image firstly back to the 2016 Democratic National Convention, and in fact that moment where she raises her hand, which is when this screenshot is from, well actually that's when she was saying goodbye to the crowd. So we can see clearly that it...
So can we just have a consensus that when you say goodbye or you're making a point, you might raise your hand? Is it going to be like Premier League football where everybody by the goal starts walking around like penguins because they didn't touch the football? Is that where we're going with this?
It is being shared out of context and misused. It was very much part of the goodbye
Misused?
to the crowd, and it's very similar there in the case of Kamala Harris as well. I traced that image back to 2019 when she was a candidate.
Didn't like Kamala Harris. I'll be honest. Word salad didn't seem to really capture my interest, if that makes sense. And I think she should have done the podcast that she was requested to do without making declarations of what she wanted, and should have just gone along and done the podcast. I actually think if she went and did a podcast with Joe Rogan and did it the way Trump did it and just sat there and chatted, I think it could have been a completely different outcome. Because if we got to know the woman, I think people would have changed their mind.
2020 presidential candidate for the South Carolina Democratic Party convention. That's where this is from. And in fact, this moment, this image capture that we're seeing shared, where she raises her arm like that, this is actually part of the speech when she was critical.
In fact, I'll rephrase that. I didn't know. I don't know anything about her because there's nothing more than what the sound bites we get in the UK. There's no depth there, and I'm surprised when you think about how much social media and news outlets tend to be left-wing. You'd think that there would be more pushing her and the depth of who she is. Anyway, that's my view.
Donald Trump for his slogan, "Make America Great Again," and then she raises her arm.
As a candidate for President of the United States, prepared to do the work of helping our nation see what can be, unburdened by what has been, and see the vision of the future, respecting our past.
So we can see that her lifting her arm in those arm gestures was very much to punctuate her speech. It was a gesture made to punctuate. It wasn't a salute, Nazi or otherwise. And in terms of that photo of Hillary Clinton, well, I found this image dates back to a 2008 fundraiser in Chicago, 18th of December. Now, this is the only one that I was unable to find footage from the events.
I'm shocked and surprised.
But I have been able to track down, however, many examples of Hillary Clinton raising her arms as part of her public speaking. We can see in all of these photos that is how she's. Now, it does seem to be a mannerism of hers when she does public speaking, and she has previously condemned white supremacy on the record, and there's no reporting or media from this era of any of these instances that she has done any sort of.
She's a lovely person, old Hillary. She's really. Yeah. Okay. I don't think we need any more of that. So, going back to my point about this and politics and cars, it's all kind of got mixed together because there's like this dark undertone. This lovely lady who's called Alyssa Milano. This is a classic. She sold her Tesla to buy a VW. So, who do you think started Volkswagen? Let me do a little history lesson with you. It wasn't Snow White. It was, in fact, Hitler. It was Hitler that created the people's car, which is what Volkswagen means. And if you look at the logo, it's a VW. But also, if she maybe got a Mercedes, which I have a Mercedes, which, hey, you go to tell me, I don't mind. Mercedes, if you look at the TriStar logo, it represents a propeller because they made engines for the Nazi aircraft, as did Bavarian Motorworks, which is BMW, and that's why they have the 4 quadrants in their logo. And this is where it just gets very, very silly. So let me show you this, and then I'll round this up. So this is Fox. If you haven't watched Fox or whatever, CNN, ABC, NBC, whatever they are, they're all left-wing. Fox is very much right-wing, probably like your GB News in the UK, which will give you an idea of what it's very biased, but in the other direction.
She pulled one over on new Twitter CEO Elon Musk. Milano tweeted that she traded in her Tesla for a Volkswagen Electric, adding, "I'm not sure how advertisers can buy space on Twitter. Publicly traded companies' products being pushed in alignment with hate and white supremacy doesn't seem to be a winning business model." But users were quick to point out Volkswagen's dicey past. More than one.
Yeah, the Hodge twins. Yeah, brother. Yeah, got a new show for you today. Yeah.
He responded with the crying, laughing emoji, so he does not seem to mind what Alyssa Milano did. Emily, one person tweeted, "Imagine thinking that you're woke and owning Elon Musk by trading your American-made car for one literally founded by Nazis."
Yeah, I think I agree with Elon Musk in tweeting, responding with the laughing crying. Because once again, Alyssa Milano is oversharing and calling it activism, right? She was the first person, and I quote her directly, to call Elon a genius. She said, "I love you." He was one of 4 she would choose for her dinner party. She said, "I am in awe of you." She was literally his greatest fan before hating him became...
You know what I said about eating your own?
...like the newest kombucha. So just like her wearing the crochet mask and telling everyone to #wear a mask, I see this as one more just performative piece of activism. And the reality as well is that, don't hate the player, hate the game. So if you're concerned about advertising on Twitter, then you have to be concerned about the $255 million advertisers have poured in while it was the biggest.
So this is another thing. I think advertising, I could talk about it, but I don't really care enough. But yeah, that is basically what I see right now, and it's all a bit crazy. It's a bit silly, and the fact that it's got to the UK and people are getting upset about it is cringe. And ultimately, you're not really hurting Elon Musk. If you tell people not to buy Teslas and they get all upset, and you all go and buy VWs, what do you think he's going to do? Let's say you all go and buy Porsche. Oh, yeah, Ferdinand Porsche, yeah, he was also part of the... Anyway, let's say you all go out and buy Citroens and Alfa Romeo. No, actually, no, you can't buy them either because they're owned by Stellantis, Italian, French company. Italians were also fascists. So you can't buy any of those European ones. Who else does EVs? No, not the Japanese. No, you can't buy a Japanese EV either. I don't know. If you buy an EV that's not linked in any way whatsoever to anything that's ever happened in history, then at that point, I think you'll be fine. Unless geopolitics changes, or you could just ignore it all and just buy the car that you want, that you can afford. And if you're going around vandalising people's property, get a grip. But sorry, the point I was going to make was, let's say you buy Volkswagen EV, right? Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, arguably. What's to say that through one of his hedge funds, or many hedge funds, that couldn't care less where your money comes from, gradually starts up buying EV shares, or buys shares, sorry, in Volkswagen. And then one day you wake up and Elon Musk has purchased his Volkswagen. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? It's just silly. It's really silly. So chill out. Just, the car is irrelevant. It's not going to make any difference whether you run his stock down or run it up or whatever. If the stock goes down, you're just hurting the people that hold the stock. Anyway, I'm going to finish it with this because I think this guy puts it way better than me and anything that I can say. So I'm going to give him the screen because the man's an absolute legend.
Tim Walz just got on stage to gloat about the decline of Tesla stock.
Saying on my phone, I don't know if you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So.
You know, you'd think for a man who ran for vice president, the fact that people are painting swastikas on Teslas might be a good reason not to align yourself with them. Nah. How about the fact that they're throwing Molotov cocktails at Tesla charging stations? Nah. Or the fact that they're lighting Teslas on fire. None of those reasons are good enough for Democratic politicians like Tim to stand against terrorism rather than demonizing Tesla. But wait, how about this one? Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. Minnesota has 1.6 million shares of Tesla in its retirement fund, and another 211,000 in its non-retirement fund. The total value is over $400 million, which means, ding, 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 if the value of Tesla goes down, the value of Minnesotan taxpayers' retirement checks goes with it. So he's literally rooting for his own people's downfall. But wait, there's more. Investment decisions are made by the Minnesota State Board of Investment, which is chaired by, you guessed it, Tim Walz. Maybe while he's tracking Tesla stock value on his phone, he should also track the value of his taxpayers' retirement funds. But that's how blind hatred works. It'll make you cut off your own nose to spite your face. It'll make you root against the electric car company that you praised a year ago for fighting against climate change. It'll make you celebrate the misfortune of a person who just saved astronauts that were stranded for 8 months in space. It'll make you turn against someone who gave internet to Ukraine against Russia when Ukraine needed it the most. It'll malign you against those who build and align you with those who destroy. It'll make you a person who can't win, but is happy to see others lose. It'll make you want to hurt others, even if it hurts you.
Yeah, I'm just... yeah, I'm going to go and order a Tesla. I'll be back shortly.